Hi, my name is Daryl Phillips, owner of Noir Apologia Gaming, and today's tutorial is about how to create fire. Like, subscribe, share, follow. All the links are below. Hit the bell for notifications if you like the content I'm doing. Again, like the last effect, this is very apropos. See, I have a lot of fire inside me. Part of it is from stuff from my past and so on. But just like with the glitch effect, you can control it and you can create something pretty, or you can light something on fire and you can get yourself in trouble. Like I said last time, control the parameters and you control the fire. Just like with the glitch. Go to bipolarize.net for more content. Ready to control your fire? Let's go. All right, so here we are in After Effects, and what you want to do is the settings. Let's name this fire logo. We want this 1920 by 1080 pixels, 60 frames per second, and we want this to be 6 seconds long. Of course, you have to save it, so save as, and it would be the I saved it underneath fire example. That's what I saved it as. Here you go, plain white shape. Any plain white shape will work for this. So anything that you want to do, that you want to set on fire for your pyromaniacs. So you want a white background. So in this case, we're using the logo shape. Well, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to create, let's get the effects up here. We're going to create new, solid. We're going to name this background. Okay, press OK. And we want to make sure this is underneath the source. That's what and by the way, this layer here, just name it source or whatever it is that you feel like that you can remember easily. You know, work smarter, not harder, right? All right, so save this. I like to save every time I do something, just in case the electricity goes out or something like that. You know what I mean? All right, so we create another black layer, and we're gonna name this Fractal Flame. All right. So now that we have on our Fractal Flame layer, so we want to add fractal noise. So effects, blur, noise and grain, fractal noise. We want to switch this to dynamic, invert it. And so invert it there. We want this to go, so the evolution right here, we're going to go from the beginning. So from the beginning, we'll go 0, click at the stopwatch here, 0 to the end. 3 times. Okay, we want to make sure that these are easy eased into, because I like realism. So flames don't stop and start. They flow. The heat flows. You know what I mean? And that's what we're doing right now. We're creating the heat haze. So part of selling this is to make sure that it looks like there's actual heat coming off the screen. You know what I mean? Now we go to sub offset 0 to the beginning, the end. We want this to be minus 570. Minus 570. See how we have this nice flow now? Now, we want to do the subscaling to 60. And then we want to go ahead and pre-compose this. Move all attributes into new composition. And just name this whatever you want to. Just, to be honest, just name it the same thing, Fractal Flame. All right. Okay. And then we're going to switch this to overlay mode, because that's what we're going to end up with doing this. So overlay mode, but then we're going to turn this layer off, because now we're going to worry about the triangle. Okay, so now we're going to place a displacement map on this particular layer, the logo. So you go to distort, displacement map. You want to point this at the Fractal Flame. So your displacement map layer, you want to point that there. Max horizontal displacement is going to be 3, and max vertical displacement is going to be 6. And we're going to add a compound blur. Blur and sharpen, compound blur, max blur is 4, and also point this as well, the blur layer, point this to Fractal Flame as well. What we're going to do now is add new adjustment layer. I'm going to rename this adjustment layer to inversion. I'm going to switch blend mode to, it's called exclusion. Okay, it basically creates this negative look. So, because I don't know about you, but I don't like white. So what we're going to do first is we're going to add a Gaussian blur. Set the blur level to 50. See how it creates like a negative look? Now we want to add another blur, different kind of blur. It's called CC vector blur. We want this direction fading. It's fading the wrong way, so we need to do it the opposite way. It needs to go up, not down. We want the vector map to be set for background. Any black solid layer, right? You want to have that set to, whatever that might be for you. The amount we want, 140. Looks weird, right? This displacement map that we put on the source, we're going to copy this. We're going to put it right there on the inversion. So we're going to take this layer here. We're going to copy the displacement map on here. Go to the inversion layer, paste this right here. And we're going to change these. So the horizontal is going to be 15, vertical is going to be 75. It's already cool. That's weird looking, right? Now, because you want to make sure that there's no added colors, and there's not colors where there shouldn't be. We want to go to effects and presets over here. You just type in solid composite. Place this on this layer, same layer, and just go set it to black to make sure that if there's any holes, you just want this effect applied just to the logo. Now we're going to add a fractal noise, just like with all these. Start offset turbulence 0 or default position all the way to the end, and set this for 100. And we want the blend mode to be color burn. We don't want it to look like the other thing. Look like it's like diseased or something, you know what I mean? We want to make sure the contrast is set for 75 and the brightness for 40. We're going to add another distortion. Okay, so distortion, go down to turbulent displace, and we want this to twist smoother. It makes it more realistic looking. You know what I'm saying? Mount, we want 20, so 20 for the amount, and offset turbulence. Starting from 0 all the way to the end. We want this to be set for -260. Fascinating look, isn't it? That was like a black and white flame, right? And we want the complexity to be 7. We want to add another turbulent displace to this layer. Again, set this down to 20. We want the evolution to be 0 to 2. So 0, 2. And last thing we're going to add to this layer is called an offset effect. Remember that the heat is supposed to be rising. That's what you're supposed to be making it look like. Make sure it's right. So let's set the offset there. And then we want this to be just a little bit up. Set this up to 560. So we move the effect up. Let's make sure everything is all ease out. Because again, we want this to be realistic, not fake. And flames are not predictable in that way. The importance of making things look smooth when you're trying to do something like this, I can't even undersell that, because it depends on what you're trying to do clearly. However, in this particular case, we're creating flames. I like it to be realistic, you know what I mean? Next layer. So check this out. You know, I was thinking about this effect. Like I said at the beginning, these tutorials are very apropos to mental illness, especially having bipolar disorder myself. There's a lot of people that just cannot handle me when they're around me because I'm very intense. My fire is bright, okay? It's always been like that. I talk about control your parameters, control your fire, or control your glitch, or control the thing you're trying to do. In this particular case, my advice has always been given to me is, Daryl, you gotta commentate. People just, when I get intense, it's because I'm passionate. When I get passionate, I just burn bright, and I'm on it. I'm on one, right? And people just cannot handle it all at once. And I can literally talk for 6 hours about something, and it's good stuff, but it's like I've had to learn how to control it in sections, because people cannot handle that much information. I have a talent where I can listen to stuff all day long and learn all day long. I can literally do it all day. People would find that very boring. They don't find my talking boring, or even my fire. In fact, they're impressed by how much ambition I have at my age. It's funny because it is like that. You have to control it. I have to be understanding of other people. That's what I mean at the end when I say be understanding of each other. That's not that people don't want to be around me necessarily. That is the case back in the day. People love to listen to me talk. It's just, I can do it forever. And so I had to break it up in sections. So, you know, that's what I try to tell you. Control your fire. Let's get back to the tutorial. Come on. Okay, what we want to do now is we want to put a displacement map actually on the pre-comped fractal flame, okay? Displacement map on there. We want to point this towards the source. 100. Now this right here, this would be good enough for most people. Okay, the idea is we want this fire to actually wrap around and be affected by the particular thing that we're trying to light on fire. Okay, you can duplicate this and move on with your life. However, what we're going to do is we're going to do this a little bit differently. So let's point it to the source right now. You'll see what we're about to do. Okay, so new solid. I'm going to name this source displace, and on this we're going to add the calculations effect. Point this towards the source. Effects and masks. Crank this up to 100%, and we're going to put this to copy. And basically, now we have an exact replica of the source layer, except without actually having something that's on it. Okay. All right. So once that's done, now we want to add some more stuff to this particular layer. Okay. So we want to add a Gaussian blur and sharpen, Gaussian blur down to 20. Not to 20, excuse me, round up to 20. We want to add a fractal noise. Everything's default, but what we want to do is we want to make sure that this is always moving. It cannot be stagnant. This is fire, especially with fire. My God, it'd be weird, right? Just frozen in place in time. So we want to go down to 0. Now we want to put a levels effect on here. So we want to put a levels effect on here. Type in levels. We want the white to be 127, about halfway. Right, exactly halfway, excuse me. So that's that. And then we want to turn off this entire layer. We don't need it anymore. Turn this off. Turn that on. And then we want to have this pointed towards the source displace. See how clean that looks now? Okay, we're coming to the end of this particular tutorial, and I just want to say, just like the layers, the amount of layers that we were putting into this, and at the end it looks like it's on fire. So it looks like one thing that I do, but no, you see it's not. There's so many layers. In the case of mental disorder, there's so many layers to why we do some stupid stuff, why we do stupid things, why we don't act when we should, and why we act when we shouldn't. And it's very apropos that I'm doing these tutorials. And to be honest with you, this was not my intention. I really was just trying to teach you guys some cool stuff about graphics, but it really is apropos. And I keep being reminded about that by some other people. My friend Denise, Sophia, and Dwan, they're all just like, it's just absolutely perfect for what I talk about. So I've kind of intertwined this with that, and that's the point of a bipolar perspective of my life. Now, I started out with these tutorials because they're the easiest thing to do, but these aren't the only things I'm going to be doing for this. You'll be seeing a lot of different stuff in the way I react to things. But in this particular case, these are tutorials that, yes, you can learn graphics from, but just understand that just like in the graphics, it's not one effect. It's a bunch of effects that make the effect. Just like a person may act in anger, or act depressed, or be depressed, there's so many layers to why they are that way. You need to find out how to fix it. Understand? So come on, let's finish this. Above the fractal flame, we want to add another new solid. We're going to name this overlay, just simple, because that's what we're going to set the blend mode to. Overlay, this will be blend. Now we're going to add a ramp, swap colors. And we want this, it's wherever your heart desires, to be honest with you. But I want to make this kind of logical, you know. Flames rise and they get brighter as they leave the center of the heat, believe it or not. So now we do fractal noise again. Change this to dynamic again, invert it again. We want the contrast to be 150. Scale, we want to be 200. And the idea is, in this particular fractal noise, this one specifically, you're trying to create the large red hot spots in the overall area, okay? The next one, you're going to create smaller ones. But first, we're going to multiply. And as with all of these layers, we want this to move. It cannot just sit still. So we need this to go, so we offset turbulence from 0, or from the default setting, to minus 1250. You're talking about large changes. This is like the large overall change in the heat in certain spots, okay? Makes it look more realistic. See how that does? Add another fractal noise. This one is we want to scale this down to 9. This is for the tiny little specks you see in a flame. You know, the inversion, things like that. Right? And again, we want to offset this from 0 to the end. We want minus 540. And we want to set the evolution from the beginning of this from 0 to 5 times. We want the blend mode to this specific one to add. See how it's coming together? We want the contrast to be 50 for this specific effect right here for contrast, and then we want minus 48 for brightness. We want to add one more effect to this layer. We want to have a turbulent displace. Okay, so distortion, but now turbulent displace, and we want this size to be 30, and we want the offset from 0 again to the end. The end we want minus 50, so minus 50 there. Now the next layer. See how complex this is? Now, guys, guess what we're going to get to add now? Add some color now. All right. So we're going to go to new adjustment layer. I'm going to rename this to colorize. I'm going to add a levels effect. I'm going to set the gamma to 0.8. And I'm going to add, this is an interesting effect right here. Now we can spend a lot of time colorizing this, coloring this in, making this really pretty, but really, the default on this is pretty good. So if you want to do a quick effect in that way, we add a colorama. We want to go to So make sure we blend it with the original 30%. And then on the output cycle, this is where you can color it and you can do all sorts of different weird stuff. But this is fire. Let's do fire on the last. See how slick that looks? But you can't have a fire without a glow, right? All right, so we want to add glow. We want the radius to be 300. We want the glow intensity to be 2. Glow colors, ambient colors, and then we want to set the colors. And I'm going to use the same colors that he does because it really looks good. So the orange is basically, we want to go FF 6500. So those are orange. The B color we want to be A. In fact, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to change this to business color. This is the point, right? So we're going to go instead of using that particular color red. So there you go. That's a more business color red. Okay. So that's the glow effect. And it looks really, really too bright, right? So we want to go to blur and sharper, unsharpen mask. We want the amount to be 100. That's pretty good to me, guys. So that is how you do it. Let's take a look and see what it looks like. So we are actually going to render this one out. So we're going to add the render cube. This time we're going to go all the way this out. So we want lossless, and this, we want AVI, all that stuff. And this, so we'll just name it fire logo. We save this. Now we can render this out. See you in a second. So here we go. See how it looks? Oh, that's pretty. See how it's flowing? Like it really does. It looks realistic. It looks like it flows. It's like there's like liquid or whatever. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the tutorial. Now you know how to create fire, how pretty it looks, and so forth and so on. Remember, just like with life, you can do whatever you want to. I'm just showing you how I do my fire. Just like I'm trying to show you how I get through things with my life. So be safe wherever you go. Whether you're going to work or back from work, or maybe just traveling with friends and so forth and so on. Maybe just walking around like I do. Like I don't have a car, you know what I mean? Be understanding of one another. Know that life is fleeting. When I say be understanding of one another, I mean be understanding of one another. I mean try to come things from their perspective, not just your own. Give them advice maybe from your own life, but listen to them too. And may the Lord of Light guide you in all things. Goodbye.
Thank you.